No, come on, you fucker. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and we have an exciting show for you this morning, as we always do. You and I are going to spend a lot of time together, 2 hours, chock full of everything you need to know. Let's start first with some comments that came in after yesterday's show. First off, Harris's communications director, Chuckles, that was the nickname the viewer gave the communications director on CNN when he's asked why she's not given interviews. It's the typical strategy, keep smiling and laugh everything off. Can't you just feel the, quote, joy? Yes, that, of course, if you're not familiar, is the talking point. It's all joy, no substance on the website, no press conferences, but there's a level of joy we are all experiencing. Who was it? Barbara Streisand actually had a comment on that just yesterday saying, well, it's so joyful. It's amazing that not only the media gets the talking points, or there's always been a little controversy who does the talking points. Do the media start it and the Democrats follow, or vice versa? But now, of course, celebrities as well. Barbara Streisand was on a Zoom call. We've heard about these Zoom calls. This one was called Jewish Women for Kamala. Well, it's been said that Jewish women are known to speak out and tell you what they say, and I'm one of them, said Barbara Streisand. I'm so tired of hearing Trump put down America, saying make America great again. Because America has been great since 1776, and it's still great in 2024. I want a president who believes that we can do anything if we work together, and that's why I'm thrilled to support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who have brought a new sense of optimism, energy, and excitement to the campaign. Kamala Harris is a terrific combination of both compassion and strength, a joyful warrior who will fight for the values that so many of us will dear. What does that mean? A joyful warrior who will fight for the values that so many of us will dear. Okay. Joyful. Thank you for that comment from the viewer. I don't know. Thank you for the comment from Barbara Streisand. Next up, another viewer comment that came in a little bit later yesterday. Frank, I'm catching up a bit, and I'm so frustrated to think so many Americans are either totally unaware or out of touch that they're okay with another repeat of Biden's term, which is exactly what it'll be. Don't they realize that we are electing a president, a leader, and not a salesperson, and a salesperson, a poor one at that? Thank you. Yes, to that point, there has been no substance, and this is not a bias statement. This is the facts of the matter when it comes to her website. No policy proposals. Yes, we heard about the grocery cost initiative. We're going to talk about that in depth. But still yet, I think it's, 26 days, entering the 26th day without a press conference. We'll be talking about all of that. But thank you so much to the viewers. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. Let me give you a quick update on a topic that seems so out of place, but I love talking about so much, and that is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard out of Dolton, Illinois. And I mention her not because it doesn't really affect us, obviously it's Dolton, Illinois, but I mention it as always, and I give this disclaimer because it's a highlight of why you need to know who you are voting for. And because of this program, frankly speaking, you have an opportunity to hear so often from the candidates, from the people that you will go in and either cast a vote for or cast a vote for their opponent. And we're going to have on as many of the candidates as we possibly can. And we always open up the door. You see the number on the bottom of the screen. Reach out. If you're running for some elected office or someone you know is, contact me. I would love to talk to you live on the air. Okay, but back to, now they're calling her the Dolton dictator. I don't like that as much. But the Illinois State Comptroller has took the extraordinary step now of withholding some funds from the troubled village of Dolton. The comptroller is blaming Tiffany Henyard super mayor, for the first of its kind action. The first of its kind. This is how bad it's gotten in Dolton. As the super mayor told cops to follow orders. Listen to this. Tiffany Henyard told cops to follow orders from her disgraced department ally who was placed on leave before being indicted. So we talked about that yesterday or the day before, that her ally, that police officer, that the friend of hers, was indicted. Well, she still told the people of Dolton to follow that disgraced officer, to follow the order. State Comptroller Susana Mendoza said she would immediately suspend all offset monies typically doled out to municipalities because Dolton leader Henyard refuses to turn over financial reports to the state. The village was on track to gain $135,000 this year, but instead could start facing fines if the problem drags on. Wow. If the issues are fixed, the comptroller will restart the payments. Mendoza said while her office tries to assist municipalities that struggle to file required annual reports, Dolton is different. That's the exact quote. Dolton is different. The mayor's office has refused to communicate with us or address the problem. If Mayor Henyard refuses to follow state law, my office will use the tools at our disposal to safeguard the interest of Dolton citizens. Should have stepped in a little earlier, it sounds like. The village did not send reports to the comptroller's office in 2022 and 2023. The state collects the offset funds when it withholds part of a resident's income tax return or lotto winnings if they don't pay a parking ticket, let's say, or a speeding ticket at the local level, according to the comptroller. Those funds are then distributed back to the municipality. The state agency made it clear it would not give Dolton, which is already facing financial hardship, the money until it gets in compliance with the financial records. But the village could face fines totaling $78,600 over the delinquent paperwork if municipal officials don't release the records. Henyard, who was elected back in 2021, has faced mounting allegations of malfeasance in office, including misuse of taxpayer funds. So is this an extreme example? Boy, it sure seems it. But still a very, very important reminder of going in informed to the voting booth and not blind. Now, the ally that they keep talking about, Deputy Chief Louis Lacey, was federally indicted on bankruptcy fraud and other charges on Monday. Now, the criminal case is not connected to the village. We want to make that clear. He was placed on administrative leave last week by trustees opposed to Henyard before the indictment, but a lawyer for the trustee reportedly said he's still going to work. Lacey issued a warning that cops better fall in line. Do what you want, but anything after this is insubordination, he said. So the mayor saying you must follow the orders of the, I don't know if you'd say now disgraced Deputy Chief Louis Lacey. Enough on that. But that's our beginning to the program, showing government corruption and why it is important. You need to know who you're voting for. A little bit later on, we're going to be talking about the media bias, which we've been focusing on quite a bit lately. The media not seeming to care that they are receiving no access to the Democratic presidential nominee or her running mate. Now, this is a historic time. You have a candidate for president that has not received a vote from the Democrat voter, but appointed into that position. So I would think most people would say maybe it's best if we know, just like we're talking about here at the local level. It would be nice to know a little bit about her policy, but apparently the media is fine with it. Not only fine with not having the access, they're also more than happy to prop up any statement that she does make at a rally, prop up the differences between her and Trump, talking about her momentum, talking about her trajectory, historic trajectory, and of course, attacking Trump's every move. We're going to talk about that. But when we come back, we also want to highlight the anti-Israel protests going on as we enter the beginning of the college year. Also, man, we have so many things to get to. That's why I don't want to run late. We even have some New York State issues. Did you see that Governor Hochul will be speaking at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, which kicks off next week. Boy, if you think media coverage has been great for Harris thus far, prepare for next week. They're calling it already the speech of her life. This is the most important speech she will ever give. I also read that she's already preparing, rehearsing for the debate, which is the debate is coming up on September 10th, I believe, right? So a little less than a month away, already preparing, already rehearsing. Very Biden-esque. It didn't play out in Biden's favor, but remember, he took 2 weeks off just to focus on that. 2 weeks off as president, just to focus on the debate preparation in the end. Maybe it should have been 3 weeks, who knows? But yes, Harris already preparing and using the same debate coach that Hillary Clinton used back in 2016. So we're going to talk about all this. I don't want to give too much away. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hustleton's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hustleton's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hustleton today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hustleton's Hot Spring Saltwater Hot Tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hustleton's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Great drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Just look at the difference. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99. But wait, Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0371 or visit getangelview.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thanks again for joining us. A comment from a viewer. I saw this morning that Vance and Walz have agreed to a debate. That is true. Vance announced yesterday that he has accepted an invitation to debate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on October 1st. He said the American people deserve as many debates as possible, which is why President Trump has challenged Kamala to 3 of them already. Not only do I accept the CBS debate on October 1st, I accept the CNN debate on September 18th as well. I look forward to seeing you at both. So we have not heard any confirmation on the September 18th debate, but as of right now, there is an October 1st debate. So thank you for that. There's an opinion piece from the New York Post. And this is in reference to the story we brought to you yesterday about the Colombia president, Shafiq, resigning right. Talk about waiting to the last minute, right at the beginning of the school year, practically. But they said she has resigned in good riddance. Shafiq's tenure was marred by the explosion of ugly Jew hatred on her campus after October 7th in the form of illegal encampments and widespread intimidation of Jewish students. Shafiq did as little as she could to halt the rising tide, displaying the cowardice so common to Ivy League leaders like Harvard and Penn presidents Claudia Gay and Liz Magel. And I don't want to go through the whole history. We talked about it right from the beginning on this program. But it says here, given the increasing likelihood of a Harris presidency, now this is coming from the New York Post, under which Jew hate will be minimized, winked at, and encouraged from on high, these rules are welcome news indeed. American Jews are going to need every friend they can find. Now, Cooney cops fear that the schools are unprepared, and I don't think there was any preparation. I don't think it was something that they wanted to really focus on. I don't really think the encampments on these college campuses were even any kind of concern for university quote-unquote leadership. The faculty were very much involved in many of these protests. But Big Apple college campuses are woefully unprepared to respond to the fresh wave of potentially dangerous anti-Israel protests expected when students return to the classroom this fall. The Cooney officers, who blame a systematic dismantling of the public university system's police forces for the lack of preparation, sounding the alarm after violent demonstrations erupted at campuses across the city in response to the Israel-Hamas war. This is a Cooney officer speaking on condition of anonymity, saying the university is going into this under fire. They have no idea what's going to happen. There's no preparation. Well, again, there's no preparation to begin with. There was no real calls for the end of these encampments and these protests. Really, on the college campuses themselves, the only criticism came when there was police called. So the protests and the intimidation of Jewish students were never really a concern to those in power. Cooney schools were the scene of some of the ugliest campus violence in the 5 boroughs last spring. Even with upcoming events like the anniversary, pardon me on that, like the anniversary of the October 7th massacre and the presidential elections, promising turmoil, Cooney officers said school safety officials have done no preparation whatsoever, and this is a quote. There have been no meetings about any of this. Ever since the encampment ended, everyone went on vacation. There's no let's prepare for September, he said, noting the schools will likely have a cursory meeting to check the box, but won't form any actual quote-unquote battle plan. It's going to be bad. Our numbers just aren't there. If there's a spontaneous protest that we don't have any knowledge of, we're going to be outnumbered. Just by the sheer number of students enrolled, we're outnumbered. Students will head back to Cooney classrooms on August the 28th. So 12 days? And no preparation has been made. Brown claims that this epitomizes the post-George Floyd hands-off policing approach that's taken hold at universities and police departments across the country, emphasizing de-escalation above all, even while officers are being pelted with rocks at campus protests earlier in the year. All right, so this should be, and to a viewer's point that was made the other day, they need to crack down on this because we don't need distractions. There's so many things going on. And let me tell you, the news, it's going to be a distraction. And it is going to be very, very interesting to see what next week brings with the Democratic National Convention. If we'll see these anti-Israel protests, if they will happen in Chicago, and if the media reports on them and shows them. By the way, just on this topic, over half of Hamas's forces have been wiped out as Israel's war goals are within reach. The Israeli military has touted that their forces have killed more than 17,000 Hamas operatives in the Gaza Strip since the war began, with U.S. officials saying the Jewish state has achieved the vast majority of its goal against the terrorists. IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Haggerty said about 56% of Hamas's estimated 30,000 forces have been wiped out since Israel waged war following the October 7th massacre. So that is just an update. Now, just to, how do I want to word this? Just to show you, I guess, the hate there is out there for Republicans, and specifically the Trump ticket, Trump himself, Vance, and what they deem as MAGA. James Carville, the Raging Cajun, you know James Carville, he was on a podcast called Politics War Room. And just to give you an idea of how these people think, oh wow, so many comments, so many waves coming in, thank you so much. Democrat strategist James Carville, during this podcast, suggested that Republicans only support Israel because Jews are more white than Palestinians. Over 70% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents report having a positive view of Israel, while only 44% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents share the same perspective. And if you recall Van Jones earlier in the week saying there is a marbling in the Democrat Party of anti-Semitic bigotry, Carville said racism is what motivates the view of Israelis and Palestinians in response to a listener's question regarding the Republican Party's alleged embrace of, quote, neo-Nazis, which the listener suggested is inconsistent with the party's pro-Israel stance. This is what Carville said, quote, it's really about the misogyny and the racism that drives the things, and we got to recognize that. It's not about any policy prescription. And the reason I suspect that most of these people describe themselves as pro-Israel is because the Jews are whiter than the Palestinians, which I think drives a lot of what they are. So as James Carville's party is protesting in the street with some of the most vile language against Jewish people and against Israel, somehow it is spun in a way that it is the Republicans that are the problem. That's just a little bit of what we're dealing with. And I think it was Van Jones, and I think it was such a spot-on representation of what we are dealing with in society today. The Democrat Party being marbled with anti-Semitic bigotry, and yet James Carville saying Republicans only support Israel because Jews are, and this is a quote, Jews are, quote, whiter than the Palestinians. I think there's a real problem in the Democrat Party today with the anti-Semitism, and I think that's why you see so much kind of the coddling of those extremists, of that hatred. But I just had to bring that to you. That was one quick update on a topic we cover quite frequently here on Frankly Speaking. We've got some viewer comments when we come back, and then we're going to jump right in to the presidential race, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. It seems like we're moving quick already. Stay with us.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never-clean glass-treated door with the no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory-trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-704-1798. That's 800-704-1798.
Whether because of discomfort lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation. You sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless.
Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. You're watching Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much. Here's a comment from a viewer. I can see that the more positive the media portrays Kamala winning the election, the more voting Democrats will become complacent, where, on the other hand, Republican voters will become inspired to vote. I do believe Republican voters will be inspired to vote because for so many reasons, but the media bias, the attacks on them. When it comes to Democrats, I'm not really sure what to think. There is the excitement right now because it's anybody but Biden in the sense that they were discouraged at Biden and the age issue, even though while they were discouraged, they told us there was no age issue. So there is that momentum now, but there's a couple big major things that have to happen between now and they don't have to happen, but could happen before now and Election Day, which is the DNC and the speech that Harris gives. Now, prepare yourself. That will be next week. No matter what you end up thinking of the speech, it will be a historic speech. It will be perhaps one of the best speeches ever given. It'll show that Harris is not the Harris we once thought she was. That once the reins of the White House were, that she was set free from those reins, that she is really a great candidate. Just prepare yourself for it. It's going to be frustrating, the coverage, but that's one thing. And remember, the media can tell you all of those things, but at the end of the day, when people watch it, if it isn't that good, or if it is the awkward, what's the word I'm looking at, cadence in her speech, that'll play into it. And the debate, that's the big one. They say that she's already preparing, and I think it was the New York Times. I couldn't print it out because it was one of the sites that was blocked, but she's already preparing for the debate on September 10th. So those are two major issues because right now the press is happy without her having any type of press conference, anything other than a telepromptered speech at a rally. They're fine with that. I don't know if the American people are, but they are. So yesterday there was the Biden-Harris event that together for the first time since since the wheels came off, as they say. But did you see that the crowd was, talk about insult to injury. The crowd was leaving early after Harris handed it over to Biden. So Biden gets up on stage and the crowd was leaving. Shortly after Harris handed over the podium to President Biden on Thursday, dozens of attendees at a joint event simply stood up and left rather than listening to the retiring commander-in-chief. The rude demonstration was a stark showing of the enthusiasm gap among Democrats, revved up by Harris's sudden elevation to the party's presidential nominee after Biden dropped out. Adding insult to injury when Biden, who suffered low attendance at his own election rallies this year, and Harris greeted an overflow room, he was accused by multiple irate protesters of facilitating genocide in the Gaza Strip. So it wasn't bad enough people were leaving. Then they were heckling him. Harris, whose own positions on an array of issues have shifted since her 2020 candidacy for the White House, sought to tie herself to Biden's relatively popular prescription drug policy after she's drawn implicit distinctions elsewhere. About 2,300 people showed up to the event at Prince George's Community College, according to the White House, standing in long, sweltering lines outside in bright sun in near 90-degree heat. The event was to celebrate the announcement of 10 prescription drug prices that will be lowered for senior citizens enrolled in Medicare Part D, with those savings taking effect in the year 2026, reducing both consumer and government costs. All right. Now, lame duck Biden, in his speech, urged former President Donald Trump to, quote, get a job. Okay. This was at an event where he was also meeting with actor Martin Sheen. Trump is indeed, as you may be aware, attempting to get a job, and that new job is Biden's own in the November 5th election, and currently runs the Trump Organization, which owns and operates hotels, golf courses, and other commercial interests. Mr. Trump says he wants to make America affordable again. Your response? A reporter asked Biden. Biden said, get a job. Now, keep in mind, inflation has caused costs to jump 20% since Biden took office. When another reporter asked if he had any regrets, Biden said, and I quote, talking to you guys. Wow. This comes a day after he shushed a female journalist who tried to ask him about Venezuela's disputed election results. And just to get a little bit weird on this, read into this whatever you want, the retiring president told yet another journalist who asked him if he would meet with the Vatican's new ambassador to Washington. He said, quote, I got to check with my mom, while pointing at the sky. Yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Now, there's an MSNBC anchor who suggested that there's a Democrat inner sanctum that pushed Biden out of the race. After being grilled on a talk show about who made President Biden relinquish the nomination, MSNBC host Alex Wagner eventually credited a secret inner sanctum of Democratic Party associated elites. We knew the Democrat elites were who pushed her out, or who pushed him out, excuse me, and Nancy Pelosi being one of them. But the 2024 election changed radically when this happened. Who exactly forced his hand at the end remains a mystery. But on Stephen Colbert's show, right ahead of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Wagner, who aside from being an MSNBC host, is married to former President Obama's longtime personal chef, stammered and nervously laughed multiple times as Colbert's question. There is a lot. There's a lot that is going to remain probably unreported about the sort of machinations. I can never say that word. Go ahead, report it. Colbert called her out. Report it. Like, do you think actually who got him out? Who do you think it was that put the shape charge under Joe that got him out of there? Was it Obama? Did Obama do it? Was it Clinton? Tell me who did it. I don't get Colbert's humor. But anyway, she ends up crediting it with the inner sanctum. Listen, I think there are more happening behind the scenes than the public will probably hear about. There's an inner sanctum of Democrat politics where a lot of powerful people are trying to take credit for this, but they don't want to talk about it publicly because they are very, very, very acutely aware of how difficult this has been for Joe Biden. And by the way, remains difficult, which is totally understandable. The man made the hardest decision you can make in American politics. And he's been vindicated, I think, by the fact that Kamala Harris has just created the wave of momentum. But it's also hard to see your replacement do so much better than you. So who is this inner sanctum of Democrats? Who are these elites that get to pick ultimately the nominee without having any say from the voters? I mean, you could probably throw around some names, but are there even names? Are there people in that inner sanctum that we're not even familiar with? Maybe not household names. I could see that being the case. Now, there's been quite a few pieces about Biden struggling with this. CNN reporting that Biden's still smarting from his 2024 exit, turns his attention to Harris and his own legacy. Sources stopped short of using the word grudge, but said Biden would not soon forget those who appear to be most active in pushing him aside. While he's appreciated the warm embrace of Democrats following his decision, there have also been moments of eye-rolling after public tributes from certain party members who most actively tried to push him from the race. The process that led him to the exit left him embittered and relieved, according to people familiar with his mindset, who say Biden is still processing the event that led to his ouster as a Democratic standard bearer, even as he firmly believes that he made the right choice. Another source familiar with the matter said that Biden was unhappy at the time, but is not spending time ruminating about it. That's from CNN. There was another piece about it. Where was it? It was the last. Oh, that's what it is. The final hours. In the end, he was alone, confined to a spare bedroom in the vacation home as he was dealing with COVID. Oh, yeah, everybody kind of forgot he had COVID. We never heard much more about that. I'm not going to go through this. You can find it for yourself online if you really want to find out about the final hours of Joe Biden's decision. We're going to take another short break. We're moving fast. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Aubrey.
For over 40 years, the Blaze Alexander family dealerships have been making car buying easy, affordable, with respect for your time.
And we do that by treating all of our customers like family.
By making sure you get the lowest rates, biggest discounts, and most for your trade.
By providing clean, comfortable, and convenient service.
By offering the largest selection of new and pre-owned vehicles every day. Visit a Blaze Alexander family dealership,
where we're taking the deals
the other guys won't.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
Order call 1-800-970-9843. That's 1-800-970-9843, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. To the viewer who called in and left a voicemail, no, you do have the right number, 607-358-3131. Feel free to leave a voicemail. So the way it works, if you're new to the program, you can text in a comment and I'll read the comment, or you can leave a voicemail and I'll do my best to read that comment as well. We can't go live on the air with phone calls just because of the nature of the equipment. But yes, if you leave a voicemail about something that you'd like to discuss, I will do my best to get that transcript that actually transcribes it for me on this program, and I will read it as best as I can on the air. So you did have the right number, and thank you for calling. Okay, other comments from viewers. On the news this morning, I saw that Harris will release her economic plan. Do you have any knowledge of what lies or hot air she will spew out? Yes, there is a lot that we're learning about this, about her economic plan. We're going to talk about the economic plan is very much about the grocery prices. It's, well, as the New York Post put it, the economic choice in this election is starker and bigger, a bigger opportunity or a bigger state, meaning bigger opportunity under Trump or a bigger state under Harris. She plans to lower food prices. It's been ripped to shreds, this idea, by economists. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. So, yes, we are. I just have a couple quick things to get to before we jump to that, okay? Next up, a different comment from a viewer. Speaking of racism, it's the Dems' obsession with racism that in and of itself is racist. They seem to always know what Republicans are thinking. Yeah, isn't that frustrating? They always know, oh, well, Trump didn't say it, but he meant this. That, the dog whistle idea, but continuing. However, it's them that are always thinking about racism, and very typical of their wash, rinse, and repeat rhetoric. To deal with the Democrats' rhetoric, I've learned to just flip it onto them for anything that they say, because it's all on them. Their thoughts have trapped themselves into wokeism and their inverse view of reality. In simple terms, they actually do what they say the Republicans do. They do. That is very much the case. That projection, we see it clear. I mean, look at what James Carville was saying. He's accusing Republicans of racism while on the issue of Israel, because Jews, as he said, are whiter than the Palestinians. But yeah, his party is spewing anti-Jewish hate on a regular basis to the point where Van Jones even says the Democrat Party is marbled with anti-Semitic bigotry. But let's move along here, because we were talking about Biden. Nearly 3/4 of Americans, according to a new poll, believe that Kamala Harris knew about Biden's mental decline. There's no doubt. This is one of the biggest cover-ups and biggest scandals in presidential history that the media refuse to talk about. Wouldn't that be great if Harris gave a press conference or answered reporters' questions? And a reporter asked her, "Did you know about the president's decline?" They wouldn't do that, though, I don't believe, because it would put her in an awkward position and it would put Biden in an awkward position. 73% of voters feel Harris knew about the 81-year-old president's fading acuity for the last couple of years. Only 21% thinks that Harris was in the dark. If she was in the dark over this, if you're one of the 21%, I would hope that you definitely wouldn't be considering voting for her. Because if she wasn't aware of it, that either means that they had no interaction, that she wasn't actually doing her job, or she's not prepared for the job. Majorities in both parties, including 58% of Democrats, 90% of Republicans, and 69% of independents indicated they felt Harris must have been aware of Biden's state. I don't know at the end of the day if it matters. I see it as a scandal. I see it as a massive cover-up. Apparently, the media and the Democrat Party do not. Joe, Kamala, and the entire Democratic establishment have been caught red-handed in the thick of the biggest scandal and the biggest cover-up. The former president said, this is Trump, of course. It's the biggest cover-up in political history. Okay. Sounds like me there for a second. He called the alleged conspiracy a sinister plot to defraud the American public about the cognitive abilities of the man in the Oval Office. All right, there we go. All right. Now, you're probably wondering, because we just had that viewer asking about the economic policies of Harris, because there has not been a lot of, for lack of a better term, substance, and specifically on policy from Harris. I'm not saying anything out of school. This is just what's being reported on, that there is no public policy or political policy, any type of policy on her website. She's not really, it's a lot of joy and attacking Trump and those type of things in her speech. I found this really interesting. Vice President Harris's website allows job seekers that want to join the campaign to choose from among 9 different pronoun options when applying for a position on her campaign. So we now know, and I'm not the one saying this, many commentators on the conservative side are saying she now has more pronouns than policies. She has more pronouns on her website than policies. So you may see this in emails occasionally, or see it maybe out and about on name tags where it'll say like Frank Acom, he, him. And, you'll see somebody else, Susie Jones, she, her. And then there's others. I had no idea there are 9 different pronouns. You could select from the more mainstream, he, him, she, her, they, them pronouns, or choose less conventional gender-neutral options, including, I don't even know how to pronounce this, XE or XEM, Z, her, AM, spelled EYEM, and her, HIR, HIR. Who, I'm not making this up. Who, which indicates that a person wants to emphasize their humanity over their gender, and far, which denotes that a person is fluid between multiple genders, but not masculine genders, are also presented as options. Boy, is there like a book on this, like some type of chart? Potential hires can also write in custom pronouns or choose to go by name only when filling out an application on the Harris campaign job portal. Job seekers are also asked how they would contribute to building a diverse culture and are given the option of completing a diversity survey at the end of their application, which asks, quote, do you identify as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community? The long list of pronoun options puzzled numerous social media users, with many indicating that they never heard of most of them. Yeah, there had to be someone hired specifically for this. There had to be someone that is really up on their game when it comes to pronouns. Oh, wow, I'm running late. And this is a quote from one Twitter user. Kamala Harris has more pronouns, 9, than policies, 0, on her website. Kamala Harris cares more about her pronouns than our economy or the southern border. I mean, this is fascinating. I had no idea. Now, Harris has long pushed for diversity, equity, and inclusion and so-called woke social justice-oriented initiatives throughout her political career, which has sparked concerns with some conservatives that say she will pursue those kind of as domestic policies. And we already know some of that has infiltrated the military, which has caused a lot of people not to enlist. We've seen it in other government agencies, but that is amazing. 9 pronouns on her website that you can choose from, 0 policy. Let's take a short break. We are almost done with hour number 1. That's hard to believe. On this Friday morning edition of Frankly Speaking, stay with us.
Hesselson's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselson's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Are you 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. Don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972.
Super Bowls aren't given, they're taken.
To come up short of a goal, of a dream, it's not fun. It's life, man. Life's tough. It's all about how you respond.
Way to big dog in the fight.
Brock Purdy and the 49ers begin their road back.
Oh, my goodness.
Against Alvin Kamara and the Saints.
To the end zone. Touchdown, Saints.
Preseason football, Sunday at 8 Eastern on Fox.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We were just talking about the pronoun issue on Kamala Harris's website, that if you are looking for a job in her campaign, you have 9 options, and then you can write in others if you need to. 9 options for pronouns, and that received quite a bit of comments from viewers. First off, regarding the pronouns, talk about weird. I hate using the term weird now, don't you? Uh-oh. Hold on. Freezing up. All right, I think we're back. All right, there we go. We're back. Sorry about that. Just a quick internet glitch. So I'm not sure where I left off, but I will go back to this comment. If someone followed all those rules, this is in regards to the pronouns, I couldn't even imagine holding a conversation without some sort of instruction manual. It's gotten to the point of insanity, in my opinion. Thank you for that comment. I couldn't think of the word instruction manual. That's exactly what you would need. I mean, how would you carry on a conversation? And let's say it was on a name tag, the pronoun. I wouldn't know how to pronounce half of them. I mean, one was hoo-hoo, right? Yeah, hoo-hoo. And this is not knocking it. I just don't know what it is. I'm curious. If you know what these mean, H-U-H-U. There's one that's X-E/X-E-M. Z-E/H-I-R, E-Y/E-M, H-I-R/H-I-R. Those are different options. Please, not making a joke. I'm asking, do you know how to pronounce them and what they mean? Because we always try to learn here on Frankly Speaking. Another comment from a viewer. This is from Ken. While I hope Kamala remains a candidate because she would be easier to beat than the generic Democrat, I still believe that there will be a change made. Probably not at the DNC, but before the one and only already scheduled debate. If she does remain the candidate, I would have to believe that the Democrats are extremely confident that they have the mechanics in place to elect any person they choose. And if she gets elected, that would confirm it, which would signal the real end of democracy. Thank you, Ken. I do think it's going to be Harris because look at how they've portrayed this momentum. Whether or not the momentum is there, they can manipulate polls, whatever. The momentum is on her side, according to the media, according to those in the know on television and in other media outlets. So, like I said, next week is going to be one of the most historic. What's some other words that they'll use? Historic, defining speeches in convention history. It will be earth-shattering. It'll be groundbreaking. It'll be touching, moving. That'll be the speech. And people, make no mistake, in the media world are already writing those articles with the words I just used, just so they have the first article out after the speech because they're that prepared. Oh, thank you, Ken. I almost forgot to state my pronouns in the last text. I'm me. Thanks, Ken. 25 days entering today. 26 days. Kamala Harris has not held a press conference since emerging as a presumptive Democrat nominee. Emerging, being appointed, anointed, however you want to refer to it. Which is just yet another reason why she should be answering questions, because zero policy positions on her website. She did not receive a single vote to be the nominee. And yet here she is. And the media shrugs. As Time magazine calls it, her moment. It's her moment. Well, yeah, you had a little pushback. Who was it from? Was it Jim Acosta yesterday? Someone from CNN saying, would it kill you guys to do an interview? I think that was for show. I don't think he really cares. Listen, if you're accused of having liberal bias, because they do, CNN and elsewhere, if you're accused of it, and then you come out and say to her communications director, would it kill you guys to give an interview? You just did your due diligence. You're fine. So next time someone calls you biased, you can say, no, I really pressed her communications director on doing an interview. It's all so predictable. Hey, we got waves and comments coming in galore. So let's take a short break. Then we're going to wrap up. Hour number 1. I feel like we're just getting started. You want to go 4 hours today? 5? Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
When it comes to pizza, subs, wings, strombolis, and calzones, nobody does it better than Picnic Pizza. Picnic Pizza has been serving the Twin Tiers for over 40 years. With 2 convenient locations to serve you, Horseheads and Big Flats, you can dine in, carry out, or we'll deliver in a 5-mile radius. We offer everyday in-house specials like a family pack, 1 large pizza, 1 dozen wings, and 1 quart of soda. Having a party? How about a party pack? 1 sheet pizza, 2 dozen wings, and 2 quarts of soda. Picnic Pizza, the best darn pizza in the area.
Now leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, the portable oxygen concentrator that moves with you.
This little box changed my life. I can now do all those things that I want to do. You just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen portable oxygen systems are small and light and deliver up to 12 hours of medical-grade oxygen on a single charge.
Now that I've got my Inogen, I've got my freedom back. I'm back to living again.
Try an Inogen system free for 14 days. Call now.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
sorry. You don't have to tell anybody if you don't want. We are back. Sorry about that. Running a little bit late. Hey, look at all the comments coming in. I'm sorry I had to run out and talk to a fellow employee, so I'm running late on that one. Look at all the waves, all the comments. We'll get to the comments a little bit later on because we are wrapping up our number one of Frankly Speaking. Okay, anyway, I like some of these comments. We are going to talk more about Harris's campaign, about some of the political bias that we've been really focusing on, as one viewer was asking about the economic policy, which we'll discuss in the next hour as well. But one thing about the interview, because we're talking about the fact that Kamala has said that she's going to do one interview by the end of the month, which that's quite a heavy load, quite a heavy work schedule for someone who, again, didn't have to go through the primary process, who was never voted on for the job that she has. Does only have to give one interview. Well, she kind of gave one interview yesterday. Did you see this? She finally granted an interview. Both her and Harris, or both Harris and Walz, excuse me. But it wasn't to the press. It was to themselves. The Mediaverse duo recorded a bizarre policy-free conversation cut together in the style of a freewheeling interview released Thursday by the Harris-Walz campaign. Voters looking for where Harris and Walz stand on the economy, immigration, or any of the pressing issues of our time won't find it there. But the video was packed full of information for voters yearning to learn what Walz puts in his white, quote, white guy tacos, and tested the limits of how many of her trademark cackles self-proclaimed, quote, hip-hop girl Harris can fit inside a 10-minute video. Put simply, the video was full of vibes. Was so full of vibes. Anyway, you learned a lot about the, and this is what really, it's laughable when you watch, hey, more waves. Wow. Wavy kind of morning. When you see this interview, if you watch it, I wouldn't recommend it, this kind of back and forth conversation. When you see it, I would say that it's not it's not going to be much different. Let me word it differently. It's not going to be much different than what her first interview is actually like, when she actually talks to a quote unquote journalist. She is not going to go to a hostile environment like Trump and Vance do. Watch those Vance videos from over the weekend. Just the hate and disdain on the reporter's face asking him questions. She will not go to some place like that. It'll be a sit-down interview, most likely pre-taped, so they can cut out any kind of errors, any kind of mistakes. And it'll be candy-coated. It'll be rainbows and sunshine, let me tell you. All right, our number one is in the books. It's hard to believe we received so many comments, so many waves, and we're just getting started, and yet we're halfway through. Explain that to me. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. I hope that you will join us for hour number two, and we'll be right back after this short commercial break. We're going to kick off with a couple quick announcements and so much more to talk about with the Harris campaign, the Trump campaign, the economic policy, and also maybe a little bit here about New York State issues. So please, again, stay with us.
T-Mobile's coverage in my area is wonderful.
We have 8 acres, and it gives you peace of mind to know that you're going to have a reliable signal.
We enjoy hiking. We enjoy the outdoors. The coverage has been great.
And after investing billions to light up our network, T-Mobile is America's largest and fastest 5G network. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. See how you can save on every plan versus Verizon and AT&T at T-Mobile.com/across-America.
Oh, better tasting is better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Big Fox website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website.
And we are back. Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Thank you, by the way, to the viewer who left a voicemail. Thank you. It transcribes a little weird, so I'll try to listen to it later, and then we'll either comment on this show or on Monday's show. So thank you very much. Everybody who relays a message to the program, we really do appreciate it. I try to get to as many of them as I possibly can. The voicemail works very good, but the transcription doesn't. And just to give you a little inside baseball here, I guess, if I play it, it'll play automatically over the air, and I got to be careful over stuff like that. So thank you, though. Okay, when we got a lot of waves, I think we could. I don't know if we could break records, but we could get close. So keep those waves coming in. One quick announcement. As you know, I've mentioned this on the last few shows, but it's very important. Our friends at the India Day celebration, the Southern Tier India Cultural Association, who joined us, I believe it was on Tuesday, they have been forced to move their event to earlier in the day because we were expecting storms. Now, they got nearly rained out last year. So they said, nope, we're going earlier. 10 a.m. It's not 4 anymore. It's at 10 a.m. on Saturday right here in Corning at Centerway Square. So if you're going out on Saturday, I would highly recommend it, by the way, but make sure you go at 10 o'clock. Okay. We had a viewer ask earlier in the program about the economic plan of Kamala Harris. Harris's plan to grant the federal government expansive new authority to control food and grocery prices was roundly criticized by several Republicans and economists who argue that it was, quote, big government on steroids and economic lunacy. The 59-year-old Democratic presidential nominee's economic agenda calls for the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food and groceries to be implemented within her first 100 days as president, in order to, quote, bring down Americans' grocery costs and keep inflation in check. Now, let me ask, if that's the case, why should you, the American public, the American voter, why should you have to wait till January? I mean, she is vice president. Why doesn't she just implement this right now? I'm confused why we are almost, I hate when people use the term gaslighting, she's still vice president, right? I mean, she can't. Why do we have to suffer under this horrible economy, Bidenomics, until January if she is the second in command? Rick Scott from Florida said, Vice President Harris, a person who has never built a business, doesn't understand profit and loss, has never met payrolls, and who has never competed in a consumer market, is going to propose federal price controls. That should terrify every American. And I thought that was a wonderful point. It's such a good point. I'm gonna read it again. Harris, a person who has never built a business, doesn't understand profit and loss, has never met payrolls, and who has never competed in a consumer market, is going to propose federal price controls. And that, make no mistake, that is what it is. Federal price controls. That should terrify every American. Scott noted that price gouging, quote, is already widely illegal and not the cause of high prices. The skyrocketing prices created by the Biden-Harris administration aren't price gouging, it's inflation. And that's the problem with this idea of price gouging. And Biden brought it up a lot, too, when he was still running. It admits that they've caused this inflation, but they word it and put it in a different name as to dupe the American people. Her solution to the Harris price hikes she caused is big government on steroids, where Washington bureaucrats stick their hands into American businesses and say what they can and can't sell a product for. Jared Walzak, a researcher and vice president of the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, said when Kamala Harris cites price gouging by grocers, these are the industry profit margins she's railing against. And it included a graph showing the 1.2% profit margins grocers made last year compared to 8.5% profit margins across all industries. Senator Mike Lee from Utah, who believes the federal government is entirely responsible for higher prices, dismissed the vice president's belief that more government regulations will bring the cost down, rather than address the actual problem, which is excessive spending and regulation, in a way that would keep inflation in check. Kamala plans to paper over the problem and thereby make it worse by instituting price controls. So as Douglas Murray said, and I hinted towards this article a little bit earlier on in the program, how am I doing on time? Harris believes she knows the choice before the public in November. It is between going forwards and going backwards. Since the Democrat nominee is wise about the nature of time, she insists that this November America should choose to go forward. In fact, it would be good if this country could in fact go back to the economy we had before Kamala Harris and Joe Biden entered office, because the most consequential choice there is in this election is between left-wing economics and right-wing economics, between the economics of Biden-Harris and the economics of Trump. In some areas of life, the left-right divide is blurry, but in economics, the difference is clear. It is between those who would grow the size of the economy and those who would grow the size of the state. When it comes to election season, some people will say anything they like just to be elected. People promise things, but they can't be tested on them, at least not until they've arrived into office. Well, why can't Harris, I know he's not wrong, but why can't Harris implement those life-saving policies that'll fix the economy as she is vice president? Because the American people have two choices in front of them, both of whom have a very clear track record. For once, we can judge the candidates not on their words, but on their deeds. Unfortunately, that is not good news for Harris. Today, the vice president is trying to add some meat onto those bones of her economic plan. Those are reported to include efforts to make housing more affordable, lower the cost of living for families, boost small businesses, and take on corporate excess. The last of these is simply a left-wing pandering point. Anyone hoping to stir up the left-wing base can always paint big bad capitalists and their excessive salaries as the problem, as though anything you did to tinker with top Wall Street salaries would do a thing for working class Americans. But on her other proposals, we don't need to judge her how well Harris and Trump could do. We could judge them on what they already did do. During Trump's 4 years in office, rank-and-file American workers had their highest wage growth in over 10 years. The pace of their wage growth outpaced that of their supervisors. The Democrats like to pretend that Trump's tax cuts only benefited the rich, but again, that is simply playing the politics of pointless envy. It is simply untrue. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 didn't just massively spur economic growth, it also saw the average taxpayer receive an on-average tax cut of around $1,500. Hourly and weekly earnings increased by 1.1%. These benefits helped everyone. Harris may enjoy talking about minority communities and how much the state needs to help them, but when Trump was in the White House, he helped African Americans and others to help themselves. During the first 3 years of Trump's presidency, median household income rose by 15.4% for black Americans and 11.5% for white Americans. Obama may have talked a great game, but just compare even his results with Trump. Obama oversaw an economy which in 6 years, median household income increased only 2.3% for black Americans and 4.4% for white Americans. This is a great piece. I know it gets a little wonky reading all the numbers, but there is, and that is, if you're not familiar, one of Harris's talking points or slogans: we can't move backwards. We must move forward. Well, I think if you look at the years under Trump and what your bank account looked like, what your savings account looked like, what your stock portfolio, et cetera, look like, and not to mention on the foreign side of things, the international side of things, peace and prosperity. We've talked about it, peace and prosperity, and what we've been dealing with the last 4 years. But you've got to remember, the media is trying to tell you that that's completely different. We're almost supposed to forget that Harris is the vice president right now and has been for the last 4 years. Have you noticed that? Mr. Wonderful, the guy from Shark Tank, was mentioning it as that Kamala has to distance herself from Bidenomics. And the media is allowing her to do that. And the media is actually pushing that narrative because he says Bidenomics is radioactive waste. Well, that is one way to put it. The government's not going to control prices on protein or groceries or energy. It's been tried before in countries like the Soviet Union, North Korea, and Cuba. But remember, that's what she's proposing. Cost controls, folks. It doesn't work. So obviously that's not going to happen. I don't think that's so obvious, with all due respect to Mr. O'Leary. But I think what we saw today, before I watched, both Harris and Biden together, the first inkling of policy. This bashing pharma is always a good strategy. It's been done since the 60s. Always want to bash big pharma. The problem with it is, and why it generally doesn't work is, many Democrats and Republicans work for big pharma. It hires hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And so those people vote too. Well, the one thing about hating big pharma, and always attacking big pharma, well, that didn't seem to be the case in COVID, did it? All of a sudden, everybody was worshiping at the altar of big pharma. But anyway. Now, what I was really listening for is to see if she's going to center somewhere. Because if the strategy is to just bash big business, bash energy, bash pharma, bash ag, bash everything, then she's a leftist again. She's been a leftist the whole time. I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to be too cute by half. But she can't win the election. So my prediction is, and we'll know more next week after the convention, she has to get rid of Biden. I mean, I understand the heritage thing and everything, but she's got to distance herself from Bidenomics. That is radioactive waste for voters. So if she doesn't bring some daylight in and go to the center, she'll just lose. I think there's a naivete here, only because I think a lot of people are looking at this race from the typical presidential campaign. And I think they forget the fact that we're dealing with 2.5 months, folks. 2.5 months. So she doesn't have to have the substance. She doesn't need to distance herself from Bidenomics because the media will do that for her. She can go as far left as she wants, and they'll still say she's more moderate. To downplay the significance of what the media, the control and the power the media has, I think is, well, you do yourself a major disservice. They only have to run out the clock for 2.5 months. They covered up Biden's mental health for 3.5 years and could have kept going and would have kept going if there weren't the debates. So I don't want to go into any more than this. But he did say that there's other elements of her economic plan that he's a little queasy about. And I think others that are investors, she just did policy by prompter. She reads that from a prompter. Can she take an interview from you and other reporters who are going to get down to really go after her like they did in 2020 when she flamed out? They're not going. She did flame out in 2020, but you got to understand they're not going to go after her like they did in 2020 because that was a primary. And if she lost, there was other Democrats that were probably going to be better. So it wasn't a choice between Harris and Trump in 2020. It was a choice between Harris and other Democrats. So they were fine with whatever Democrat it would be. But now that it's Harris and Trump, they won't ask her the tough questions. That's why they're not demanding press conferences and sit-down interviews, because they are fine with this, running out the clock. And I know this is very frustrating. It is for me, and I am sure it is for you, but it doesn't make it any less true. And it's also a reminder that next week to buckle in and be prepared. If you are going to watch the debate the convention, or if you're going to watch the coverage after the convention, just be ready. This is going to be the most historic, earth-shattering. I'm trying to think of other words. Tug at your heartstrings, sympathetic, empathetic speeches. That has been ever given by a candidate. That she stepped up when it was needed most. That she gave not only the greatest speech of her lifetime, one of the greatest speeches in presidential history. They have the articles written already. It will be, they'll say, now that the reins are off, she was always so controlled by people around her. That's how they spun the fact that 91% of her staff, remember that we brought up earlier this week, 91% of her staff quit? Well, they said, yeah, because those people were keeping her down. Harris is too brilliant. She had to let those people go because they were hurting her. They had to quit because they couldn't help her. They were hurting her. That's just how great she is. And now we're seeing that greatness in full display. as the momentum grows, as the trajectory grows. She is amazing. She is untouchable. It is all over but the shouting. She's won this thing because this is a true Harris that we were never able to see because those people were keeping her down behind the scenes. And that'll very much play into what is said after her speech as well, that we finally see the true Harris and how great she can be. So prepare yourself. But anyway, let's take our first break because we're running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Enjoy a taste of Finger Lakes at Hector Hideaway.
With a lunch and dinner menu, we serve a variety of delicious dishes made with locally sourced ingredients. Dine inside or out on the deck for gorgeous lake views and pair your meal with a local wine, beer, or beverage. We're open until 9 p.m. Thursday through Monday, but the bar is open until midnight Fridays and Saturdays. Stay tuned for live music. Visit us today at Hector Hideaway.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can scan and hack your information without you even knowing. Worse yet, it's bulky and so disorganized. But not anymore, because Slim is in. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash truly protected. And now may be your last chance to get it for a low price. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from scanning your wallet and stealing your info.
Having your information stolen is a nightmare. But with Slim Mint, I know I'm protected.
With money clips, cash can easily fall out. But with the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. Then just press the button to release the lock. Slim Mint is ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to securely fit your additional cards and your extra cash. Even with everything you see here in the Slim Mint, it's still ultra-thin. Bulky wallets are uncomfortable, but the Slim Mint is so compact it fits in any size pocket. Plus, it keeps everything easy to access.
Slim Mint holds everything, from pictures to credit cards, my driver's license. Yeah, it's still so thin.
Say bye-bye to bent cards and damaged magnetic strips. Slim Mint keeps them protected. It's crush-resistant and can really take a beating. Similar wallets sell for over $100. But call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. You still have time to get your very own Slim Mint wallets, but you must act fast. Don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-655-8103. That's 1-800-655-8103. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-655-8103 now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. So many comments coming in, I lost track of time. I keep running out of track of time. Thank you for all the waves this morning. I haven't had a chance to go through all of your comments. That's so funny. Okay, here's a comment from a viewer. You just said Kamala reads from a prompter while you're looking sideways at the prompter. I'm not sure how I can show you this, but I don't have a teleprompter. And if that's a dig at me, I'm not, yeah. And I also think there's no denying that Kamala does use it. So I'm not really sure what we're arguing here. It is a fact, like many political candidates and politicians in general, that Kamala Harris reads from a teleprompter. Okay? It is also a fact that your host of Frankly Speaking, Frank Acom, does not read from a teleprompter. So when I'm looking sideways, I'm not sure. Oh, it's probably just like this. That's just a piece of the article that I was trying to quote from, maybe. I'm not sure, but no, do not have a teleprompter. But I guess maybe I should say thank you for thinking that I have a teleprompter and all of this is prepared ahead of time. Nope, it's just right off the old noggin. Mine like a steel trap. Another comment from a viewer. There's too many comments, and I'm reading them live on the fly, and I don't like to do that. But please keep the comments coming in. Democrat representative, I don't even know how to say this representative's name, but I'm going to try, from Illinois. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy. I hope I did close on that. Defended Harris's price controls, and that's what this is. Price controls is her economic policy. He stated that he's a little less comfortable with Joe Biden's push for a price cap on rent because he fears it will decrease the supply of housing. So he worries about Biden's rent price control and that plan, saying it will hurt supply. But Harris's but the same concept plan on food is good. Interesting. Isn't it also sad for Biden? I don't want to keep talking about this, but whatever you think of Biden, I know many of us were not big supporters of his presidency or found him to be a very effective president. But put that aside. You've got a guy that has been loyal to the Democrat Party his whole life. Blindly loyal. He does what they all wanted him to do, and he beats Trump. And they stab him in the back and boot him out. Then they hold that joint rally, or whatever you want to call it, and people start walking out when Harris gets done talking and hands it over to Biden. And now you have Democrats that are willing to go after him about his mental health, willing to go after him about policy. In this case, the media willing to start talking about the Hunter Biden scandal. Man, talk about insult to injury. I could see why he is upset and bitter, as some have claimed. Anonymous sources behind the scene. All right, we do have to take another short break because I ran late on the other side of the coin on the other break. Do I have anything covered? Oh, someone wanted me to mention this, and I want to mention it. I don't have to give credit to somebody else. I will be at the Steuben County Fair today from 2 to 4. Come over and say hi. I'd love to talk to you. I've heard from a few viewers that said they're going to stop by. Hopefully it's a nice day. But yes, 2 to 4 today at the Steuben County Fair, right in the barn. It's not a barn, but in that one, I don't know what you'd call it, the one room that has all the little booths in it. You can't miss me. So stop over and say hi, and maybe we'll grab a root beer together if I can sneak away for a moment. There we go. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Stay with us.
Hesselsen's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselsen's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselsen's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Stay tuned. This 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these These are an $80 value, yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-603-3404 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-603-3404, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
And we are back. And frankly speaking, okay, we've got so many great comments coming in, and I just want to thank one of the viewers. I am going to get to your comments. When they come through voicemail, they just take a little bit longer. I see that I have a voicemail. It'll transcribe it for me, and I have to clean it up a little bit because the transcription isn't perfect. And I will get to that comment, so I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Another comment from a viewer. I'm going to force myself to watch the Democratic convention and see if they can convince me or understand their point of view of reality. It will be among the toughest things I've done in recent history, but we'll toughen through it, just so I can talk about it during Frankly Speaking. And that's the only reason I'm watching it. Well, don't do that because of me. Don't do that because of Frankly Speaking. I personally think, and whoever watches it, I'll be unfortunately watching as well. I will say I'm going to find the coverage after the fact the most interesting. Because you can watch the speech, you can see the rhetoric, fine. It'll be how the media portrays it. And it's going to be historic. It's going to be earth-shattering. It's going to be one of the greatest speeches ever given. It's going to give Harris even more momentum. Just when you thought there couldn't be any more momentum, then she gave that historic speech in Chicago on a day that we will all remember. Another comment. Rather than putting mandates on and so-called price controls, they need an education in free world economics and wake up to the fact they're causing the problems, then trying to solve them with communism rules. The free market system is supposed to be free and not run by the government. Yes, right out of the gate, pushing price controls is very scary. And it goes to show you where we would be headed. Another comment from a viewer. Harris doesn't have to do anything. She will get told what to do, like Biden, from Schumer and Pelosi, and probably Obama and others. Thank you very much. Trump did blast Harris's high grocery price plan. We call it the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela or the Soviet Union. That's in reference to President Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela. Harris's new economic plan is an admission that her economic policies have totally failed and caused really a catastrophe for our country, and beyond that, a catastrophe for the world. Now, Harris is expected to roll out her full plan in a speech today. So this is just what kind of precursory, what we've learned about what she plans to announce today. The 45th president hosted an almost 2-hour speech and press conference in New Jersey. The tables were filled with cans of food, meat, milk, and cereal, highlighting how much groceries have skyrocketed since Harris became vice president. Trump predicted an economic crash will happen if Harris is elected in November, blasted her for wanting to take away the tax cuts, and claims she wants to end private health care in favor of a communist system. To solve the price problem, he offered one large solution. Drill, baby, drill. Okay. Now, a lot of people are... listen, she's going to give the speech today, but people are already blasting her on her grasp of what inflation really is. Michael Tyler, the Harris Walls campaign communications director, said on CNN yesterday that Americans can, quote, expect her to talk about the ways in which she wants to move the economy forward and lower costs for middle-class families, noting Harris understands that far too many families, their prices remain too high. Additionally, this week, the campaign insisted tackling inflation will be a, quote, day one priority. I'm going to say, though, if you know the American people are suffering, which they seem to indicate that they do, they seem to know that you're suffering and struggling to get by. Why wait? Is this suggesting that Biden doesn't want to help the American people too? Or if you've got such a great plan, why don't you come to Biden and say, hey, I know you're still president, but we've got this plan that's going to fix all that ails the country. Would you mind putting it in now? Because American people shouldn't have to suffer another 5 months, 6 months while we wait for the turnover. Right? Seems like a no-brainer. Day one in office, though, according to E.J. Antonio, and this is a very good point, day one in office was 3.5 years ago. What have you been doing in the meantime to tackle inflation? You've been creating it. And that is a good point. When you talk about day one, you have had day one 3.5 years ago. I gave Harris and Biden an economic miracle, and they quickly turned it into an economic nightmare, said Trump. There's a big difference. This is what the Harris campaign said. There's a big difference between fair pricing in competitive markets and excessive prices related to the cost of doing business. Republican economists have criticized the move, calling it Marxist and lunatic behavior. Actual consumer prices have been going up less than producer prices, which means that businesses, if anything, are price gouging themselves, said Richard Stern from the Heritage Foundation. If the prices are going up and more than the cost of doing business, then the consumer price index would be going up faster than the producer price index, and it's not. We had gas lines in the 70s, and now she's talking about regulating the price of fuel. Not about regulating the price of fuel, but regulating the price of food. So instead of gas lines, we're going to have bread lines. This is absolutely insane, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised because let's face it, Harris is a Marxist, and her policies are going to introduce the exact same effects here that Marxist policies have had everywhere. Now let's talk about, because I don't want to just focus on that, but let's talk about the media bias. John Carl from ABC. Is that where the debate is, by the way? I think that's where the debate is on September 10th. John Carl, back in 2023, a year ago, said the president put Kamala Harris in playing a critical role in terms of trying to stop the flow of migrants across the border. Well, now it's 2024 and she's a presumptive nominee. So now it's time to change the tune. John Carl on Sunday saying, she's not actually, she wasn't the border czar. It's interesting how they could go after Harris on things and really blame her for the border when they were still trying to get Biden elected. She could be the scapegoat. Now that they're trying to get her elected, Biden can be the scapegoat. Isn't that kind of a fascinating switch and how quickly they will turn? I think Biden learning there is no loyalty in that party. It's all about, at the end of the day, winning. But, we talk about the double standard. We talk about the bias in the media. You saw the Time magazine cover that I showed you. I think it was on Monday. And the headline, her moment. We see a press that is fine with her not giving interviews or giving press conferences. All we hear about is momentum and joyous and a brand new person, not the Harris that we thought she was. She's going to make a great president, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know that the New York magazine released an article on Tuesday, and I missed it. The New York Post sometimes puts together a great little thing where they go through and mention the biggest whoppers of the week. Well, on Tuesday, the New York magazine released an article, "The media's double standard favors Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris." So I posed that question this morning. Do you agree with New York Magazine that the media's double standard favors Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris? On that note, we've got a couple other things about the Harris campaign. We've got a few things here about Trump. We're also going to talk about New York if we get a chance. We only have about a half an hour left together. Don't forget, I know I don't want to keep bringing this up, but don't forget, India Day has moved to 10 a.m. tomorrow, because I know many of you are excited to attend. And also, another announcement, if you are around the Steuben County Fair today, after the pig races, after grabbing a root beer, grabbing something to eat, stop by the booth and say hi. I'll be there from 2 to 4. I'd love to chat for a little bit. Again, that's today from 2 to 4. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. I got to find which break I'm playing. There we go.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6. I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and lime scale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
In Paisano,
the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-589-5178 or order online at buypaisano.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. Okay. We got some comments from viewers. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We've just received so many great comments this morning and so many waves. Thank you so much. Here we go. Here's a comment from a viewer, which I think kind of puts this all into focus. That maybe is saying exactly what we all believe. From the viewer, I don't know what to believe anymore. This is absolute insanity. Very much so. Okay, we received a voicemail. This is a voicemail. So again, this is transcribed. So I apologize if I misrepresent something. That's not my intention, but it just transcribes what you said. So I believe your name's Patrick. Hi, Patrick. Thanks for watching. I'm calling to advise President Trump. I still call him President Trump because he's the only one that's being presidential at this time. And this is his advice for the president. During the Democrat convention, every day have a big rally someplace across this country and debunk everything that was said in the speeches at the convention. Do this on a day-to-day basis. Do it on the air or at a rally. Every day of their convention. To everything that they say. And I think that's a really good point. I know they're looking for counter-programming opportunities. Now, what that means, I'm not sure. I mean, there's not really a lot of outlets that will give him, free reign during the Democrat convention. But I think a rally each day is a brilliant idea. Again, keep in mind, the media won't cover it. You know this. It's not like ABC is going to put it on or CNN or whoever. They're not going to put on his rallies. But it may cause some people to tune out. Who knows? There may be some outlets. You can find them online. Continuing with this viewer's comment, voicemail. The other thing is, if I were a Democrat, I would be we're going to say mad, that I didn't have a say in who was going to be nominated because they didn't go through the nomination process like Trump did. Trump followed it to a T. And that's why he's where he's at and why people love him. And he relates to people. And she can't even speak. I'm going to call you frankly. Thank you so much for putting me on here. And I appreciate your program. Well, thank you. Nice words and very, very good points. Hold a rally every day. Also, yes, I would be upset too. I know I keep pointing this out, but it would seriously be like, as a Republican, if Trump said, you know what, I've had enough of this. I'm not going to run. And the Republican elites say, all right, Republicans, buckle up because our candidate is now Jeb Bush. Wouldn't you go, wait a minute, what? No, we want a primary. Democrats, for whatever reason, we have yet to hear a response from anyone. They seem fine with being told who to vote for by the elites, by the people in the, as the one person put it yesterday, vape-filled room. They have no problem being told what to do, which kind of makes you understand a little bit of why their policies are what their policies are. Being told what to do seems to be okay if you're a Democrat. I, too, like this viewer, would be very, very upset. And I do think it's not fair to the American people that we didn't have primary season or get to see where her positions are. Because you could say, well, Trump didn't debate his primary challengers, but we knew who he was. They did debate. We had the conversation. With Harris, she has not released any policy. Today will be her first day. Has not released policy. Has not done press conferences. Has not told us who she is. And yet she is running for the presidency of the United States of America without having received a single vote for that job, for giving the opportunity to run for that job. So, yeah, I'm with you. If I were a Democrat, I'd be outraged. And I think it's something that's not mentioned enough, if I'm being honest. So many other comments coming in. We'll get to them in just a little bit. Sorry. Okay. Back to some other issues before we take a break. How am I doing? Oh, there's a piece that you may not have thought about. This is from the New York Post editorial board. You've heard the story about those stranded astronauts. You've got a feel for them. I'm surprised it's not a bigger story, but it's mentioned. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. Not only have a bunch of poor decisions by NASA and Boeing have them stuck in space, but according to the New York Post editorial board, you may not realize this, they're being held hostage by Kamala Harris's political ambitions. Now you're saying, how is this, Frank? I know it's getting into silly season in politics, but tell me why this is the case. Well, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, is the chair of the National Space Council, which is supposed to give NASA its direction, which means she already shares the blame for this mess and is best served by just letting the, quote, castaways rot until after Election Day. Wilmore and Williams were supposed to be in space only for 8 days after their launch from Earth on June 5th. But their Boeing-built spacecraft, the Starliner, malfunctioned, leaving them trapped on the International Space Station. NASA and Boeing have hemmed and hawed for 2 months about how to bring the astronauts home, floating the idea of them traveling back with SpaceX's Crew Dragon next February, while insisting the Starliner could get the explorers home if absolutely necessary. One thing is clear. Even if NASA comes up with some other answer, those astronauts won't come home before November. Because Harris chairs the National Space Council, the buck stops with her. But she has an election to win. She surely fears the bad press of a space disaster. Sticking Williams and Wilmore back on the glitchy Starliner would be too much of a risk to her presidential prospects. And then someone might notice just how asleep at the wheel she's been at the head of the National Space Council. Harris has only chaired 3 public Space Council meetings. The latest last December, where she spoke at the start of the meeting but left immediately thereafter, leaving an advisor to chair the meeting. Her predecessor, Mike Pence, chaired 8 meetings in the 4 Donald Trump years, and her input was irrelevant to issues like building a functional, reliable space program. For example, at the December 20th meeting, she announced 3 priorities for space, starting with tackling the climate crisis. Yep. Just as with her work as border czar, Kamala's been phoning it in as Space Council chief. Is there anything she touches that doesn't turn into a crisis? Whenever Harris talks about what she'll do on day 1 as president, remember her pathetic record as vice president. Whether it's millions of illegal migrants spreading across the nation or 2 astronauts stranded in space, her results prove she doesn't deserve a promotion. She needs to be, as Donald Trump would say, fired. All right. Michael Moore. Michael Moore is one of those people that loves to offer his opinion on how someone can win or lose. But I will say back in 2016, he predicted that Trump was going to win. He's the far-left filmmaker. He says to the Harris campaign, do weird and cringe like you are. Do that weird and cringy thing until the debate. Then nail him. This isn't just a sugar high or what recovering heroin addicts call a pink cloud. It was so depressing for so many weeks that when it was instantly not depressing. I am hopeful now, but it's ours to blow, and we have a history of blowing it, he said. So I'm glad he says it when it seems like the media and others will not say it. There is such a huge level of cringe and weirdness, right, in all of this. I think when he's saying weird, he's saying, yeah, keep calling them weird, but really nail him at the debate. I think I'm going to see what I was hoping for 8 years, he says. This is Michael Moore. Once anybody gets under that thin skin, meaning Trump, anything can happen. On live TV, Trump could explode, start talking like a 12-year-old, though no offense to 12-year-olds, or get up and leave. But didn't Democrats bet on the Biden-Trump debate being a success and the Trump prosecution in New York? The Republicans' candidates' polling and fundraising went up after both. As the Harris-Walz campaign humanized the ticket, it is clear that the November election represents on the Democrat side a generational shift. This is what Michael Moore said. I'm so happy to hear Generation Z and X are over half the vote because it's called facts and data. How many of them do you think are going around in hats saying Make America Great Again? They've never known it to be great, let alone again. It's never been great. I was not voting before, but now I am. Said the Gen Zers. Okay. The same Gen Zers that polls show will be easily manipulated by a celebrity endorsement. Okay. By the way, one last thing before we go to a break. RFK Jr. has no plans now to back Kamala Harris after that cabinet deal fell apart. Now we see the real Kennedy coming out. Yes, Harris's Democrat Party would be unrecognizable to my father and uncle, and I cannot reconcile with my values. The Democrat Party of RFK and JFK are the party of civil liberties and free speech. VP Harris's is a party of censorship, lockdowns, and medical coercion. Let's take that break. Stay with us. Get your last minute questions in, because we're wrapping up.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
In Paisano, the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-589-5178 or order online at buypaisano.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. Just reading comments there. Sorry. Little time with the stars there. You're watching Frankly Speaking. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Couple quick comments here. First off, I just wonder whatever happened to the political cartoonist. Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that. Before I get into your point, I'm a part of this one email chain that shows some of the old Corning leaders going way back. And reading the political cartoons, you can tell how impactful they were and how important they were at the time. But yeah, I think there are some outlets that still do it, but you know, newsprint, obviously, I'm not speaking tales out of school, is not what it used to be. But anyway, if I were in that capacity, I would have a cover on Time magazine of Harris, Biden, and several other people that you've mentioned in your last half hour, with their faces with a mask and a cape over their mouths and their hands over their ears, and the sun way up above them would be a circle, and the sun up above with Trump's face on it, saying, "Let the sun shine in." They don't hear me, they don't see me, they don't hear us, they don't see us. This is what we live with. So picture that and try to put it on the air. I'd love to hear it. There you go. Bye for now. Well, bye. Good luck at work too. Thank you for calling. I could picture it. They don't hear us. So that's what's so. That's what the media doesn't understand about Trump, and specifically when they used to air his rallies, when he's talking to the quote unquote forgotten men and women out there. They don't understand that aspect to it. Here's another comment from a different viewer. Love your show. Speaking the truth makes me listen to you. Keep it up. Well, hey, thanks. That's so nice. I've had a couple good comments today that you love the show. That's always a big proof positive that we're doing a good thing here. And also the comment that not meant in a positive way, but suggested that I read from a teleprompter, to think that I'm that good on my feet, that it seems all rehearsed and planned. So a lot of great comments this morning. Another comment from a viewer. Let's do this one live on the fly. Don't let me down here. Waltz has been back and forth to China several times and even spent his honeymoon there. Perhaps he is partnering with them. Yes, you would think with all the talks, and I know there wasn't that much talk in the media, but of the connections with China and Biden, that would have been a big red flag when they were picking VP. But yes, indeed, he did have his honeymoon there. He taught there. He traveled a lot. The one quote, I'm just paraphrasing now, but it is a crazy quote, where he said, I've never received so many gifts in all my life on his first time back from China. They're just so generous, something like that. I mean, really implicating what we could be seeing in the future. Hey, so I mentioned this, Governor Hochul. We had one viewer that said they're going to watch the Democratic National Convention just so they can talk about it on this show. And I appreciate that. You don't have to do that for us. Only one of us should have to suffer. But if you do, make sure to mark your calendar. Because Hochul will be speaking on Monday night. Oh, she got the Monday night time slot. But she will be speaking at the Democratic National Convention. I understand there's a lineup with President Biden will be there, Hillary Clinton, and I'm really, really honored that they selected me to be on that night. Yeah, everybody wants to be on Monday. I've been accepted the invitation to appear Monday night. Well, okay. Hochul set to deliver her address as the state and city are still dealing with the ongoing migrant crisis. Yes, of course it is. Sanctuary city. Eric Adams also confirmed his attendance. I don't think he's speaking, though. He's expected to attend the event on Wednesday and Thursday, coinciding with speeches by Harris and Walz, which, again, and it takes place Monday through Thursday, if you're not familiar, next week. Again, these two speeches, Harris and Walz, are going to be for the history books, folks. They will probably be two of the greatest speeches you've ever seen, and perhaps any American has ever seen in their lifetime. That'll be historic, it'll be groundbreaking. It'll be earth-shattering. It'll be glass ceiling breaking. It will be moving, touching. It'll finally show who Harris really is. Now that she doesn't have that staff, the 91% that quit or were fired, that 91% that just had been keeping her down the whole time, or the Biden White House that was keeping her down the whole time. We'll finally see the true Harris, and that true Harris is remarkable, presidential. It'll be a very presidential speech. Keep that in mind, too. It will be amazing. I'm excited about Hochul's speech. That shouldn't be awkward at all. I think, that isn't even being mean. I just think Hochul has a very, how would you say, interesting speech style. We'll see how it goes. But she's got that much lauded, the prime time. I don't even know if it's prime time, technically speaking, but that Monday night coveted speaking spot. Because she is now, what did they say on Politico? One of them, Hochul seizes DNC spotlight. Yes, the spotlight is on our governor. This is very reminiscent of Cuomo, isn't it? Let me take a short break because we want to wrap things up, and I got some housekeeping to do. Get those last-minute questions that I don't know, comments, questions, whatever. We've had a fun show. I hope I'm not just speaking for myself. I think this has been a great Friday edition. It would be great any day of the week. And that's why I ask you to tune in every weekday morning, and thank you for all the nice comments. Let's take that short break, and we'll be right back. Speaking.
It's time for the 205th Steuben County Fair.
And I'm
Celebrate.
For over 40 years, the Blaze Alexander family dealerships have been making car buying easy, affordable, with respect for your time.
And we do that by treating all of our customers like family.
By making sure you get the lowest rates, biggest discounts, and most for your trade.
By providing clean, comfortable, and convenient service.
By offering the largest selection of new and pre-owned vehicles every day. Visit a Blaze Alexander family dealership
where we're taking the deals
the other guys won't.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990. Call.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street in Corning. Wrapping up the Friday edition of Frankly Speaking, Donald Trump said yesterday at his press conference that he's entitled to the personal... Sorry, cut out, because that's what happens when I took the last break. I don't know how much you heard, but Trump saying that he has a right to the personal attacks against Harris because they're trying to attack him. I should be. Am I back on? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. It switched because I went to the wrong break, but I think you should be able to hear me now. No? We're good now. Good. Good. Thank you for that, everybody. Thank you. So many comments coming in. Yes, Trump saying that he is entitled to personal attacks against Kamala Harris because they want to put me in prison. I love that line. I don't have a lot of respect for intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. They don't want me to be a little nasty. They want to put me in prison. Me. They want to put, never happened before in the history of our country. It happened in third world countries. Now, the Secret Service has okayed new outdoor security plans for the Trump rallies that now include bulletproof glass. That is one plan. As part of the plan, the Secret Service will encircle Trump with bulletproof glass to protect him against potential gunfire. Typically, that level of protection is reserved for sitting presidents and vice presidents when safety concerns necessitate it. The Department of Defense usually coordinates it, per the report. Chris Sununu, governor of New Hampshire, was on Fox News Channel yesterday saying in September and October, the cost of living will be a real issue in this campaign, a very real issue for Americans. As long as the former president can keep his focus there and stay professional on the campaign and talk about the things Americans want to talk about, as soon as he goes off on a tangent, that's where he lets the Democrats take the election. This should be his by a landslide. It really should. He is getting back to it. I've always said the best poll numbers you're going to see, the first real after Labor Day, after Americans kind of digest all of this, after the Democrat convention. But at the end of the day, if he can focus on those issues, the last 60 days should be his to win. And any other candidate would be winning huge. This is on Trump's shoulders to close the deal. Yes, obviously the focus will be after Labor Day, but next week's going to be very frustrating to watch. Keep it in mind, because it's going to be a historic week. They're going to see more momentum for Harris. Her campaign just continues to grow. She'll be up by, who knows, 10 points, according to the polls. Dennis Quaid, the actor Dennis Quaid, who's now the star of that movie Reagan, and Joe Rogan said, we need a strong leader like Trump to deal with the blankers of the world leaders. All right, I guess that's it. We're out of time. I said I was going to mention some New York issues, but we just don't have time. Sorry. Thank you to everybody who joined us. So many comments, so many waves. I hope that you have a fun weekend. I hope that you're able to make it to the Steuben County Fair throughout the week. And at the very least, I hope you can make it today from 2 to 4 to say hi, check out the pig races, have a great time at the fair. We will see you Monday morning starting at 6 a.m. And I hope that you tune in every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV Big Fox. I look forward to it already. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you Monday.
It's time for the 205th Steuben County Fair. Celebrate an action-packed week of fun. Catch the Broken Bee Rodeo on Wednesday, Demolition Derby Night on Thursday, Monster and Tough Truck Show on Friday, and Truck and Tractor Pull on Saturday. Come enjoy the carnival, the Midway, tons of free shows, and Demolition Derby finals on Sunday. It's fun for the whole family. For more information, visit us online or like us on Facebook. The 205th Steuben County Fair, August 12th through the 18th in downtown Bath. See you there.